Hey everybody, I wanted to share the spinal range of motion work that we did yesterday in a video that was a little more clear. I didn't feel like it was very easy to see. So today I'm going to show you the range of motion exercises we did and then give you another couple of poses, options for some similar movements. So the first thing I wanted to show you was that, remember I said when I'm sitting in a cross-legged position, and I have gotten more flexible in this way, but you can see my knees are high here when I'm sitting in lotus position, and this is a cross-legged position. So when I'm in this position, my knees are way up here and I don't feel completely comfortable. I'm a huge advocate of props. So you can see as I go up onto the bolster and I cross my legs, and then I can scoot my sits bones forward and my knees drop to the earth and my crown is that much more lifted and I'm so much more comfortable. So this is the position from which I want to work. You don't want to start in an uncomfortable position just because it's the right way to do yoga. What I would rather you do is get into a comfortable position, and then as your body opens up, you'll have more options for how you start these things, and you can maybe go in more of a traditional route yogically. But again, we're trying to make it comfortable for you and have it work for your particular body. So I just wanted to show you that difference. Now I'm going to turn towards you because we're going to be doing the spinal range of motion, and it's a little bit easier to see if I'm facing you. All right, so remember, you're finding yourself in a comfortable seated position. You can also have your hips on you can be seated on an ottoman or a chair. This works too, as well as standing. The reason I like to do it seated is because it takes the burden of having to hold our body up, and you can really get a sense of the positioning. So as usual, we'll start in center, and again, your comfortable seated position, I can't stress that enough. This is completely comfortable to me, but for somebody else, they might be like, no. So wherever your comfortable seated position is, come into center and just take a couple of establishing breaths, bringing yourself into this present moment, thinking of the root chakra sinking into the earth. That's our grounded earthly connection. The crown is lifting to the heavens, and the line of energy between those 2 points keeps intact those other centers, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, and the brow. Maybe get into the habit of turning your palms up. What that does is it lifts the heart and opens the heart a bit more, and then it opens you up, kind of symbolically opens you up to insight through the heart center. So a couple of breaths here, making sure you're inhaling fully, exhaling completely. Other than that, don't worry too much about the rules and the regulations, so to speak. On your next exhale, allow the chin to fall to chest. So this is flexion of the cervical spine, head bowing forward. And then inhaling it back up. We'll do a rotation of the head to the right. That's rotation of the cervical spine. Through center, looking to the opposite side. Coming back to center, inhaling the arms up. Notice my shoulders are still down. I'm not lifting through the shoulders, although that will be something that we do later on as we work together and do more poses. Prayer hands come down to the heart. Inhale and exhale. I'm going to turn to the side for the first one, and then I'm going to give you an alternate way of doing the extension and the flexion of the spine as well. And that will be for cow pose. So I'm back in my position. I'm going to extend the spine. I'm going to lift the arms up. And then I'm going to take an easy back bend here. Right? See that lower back. I'm compressing the back side of the spine as I go into extension of the entire spine. It's very easy. I'm not doing a full back bend. And then as the arms float down, I'll bring my palms down in front of me. And now I'm going to almost pull that stomach in, head, chin to chest, pelvis is tilting up, and that is flexion of the spine. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling up, remember the inhale lifts. Taking the back extension. Arms float down, coming in front of you, or you can just leave them on the legs if that works. Palms down at this point, and then take a flexion of the spine. And then lifting back to center. Perfect. You guys can stay where you are. For ease of sight, I'm going to turn back to front. So now we're going to take a lateral flexion of the spine. My right hand fingertips are going to go down onto the mat beside me. Left arm raises up. On an inhale, we lift up and out of the waist. And on an exhale, my palm can go down, and I'm laterally flexing the spine. So lateral means to the side. So lateral flexion of the spine. Notice I'm not hollowing out here. I'm keeping my chest lifted. So you might not go that far. Maybe you just go a couple of inches. That's fine. And then we come down through center. Left arm down. Inhaling the right arm up, or the opposite of where you were. Inhaling up and out of the waist. And taking the lateral flexion to the opposite side. Coming through center, arm floats down. Let's do that again. Inhale up, lift, and exhale into the twist. And then when you're in, if you want to hold this, you just breathe into it as deeply as you can. The position will limit the lung intake just a bit because we're compressing that one side. Coming through center, lifting, lateral flexion to the other side. Chest is lifted. Head can stay neutral, looking at the invisible or the imaginary horizon, or you can look down at the hand. Some people like to look up, and that's good too. This is where you make the call, your practice, your body. No pain in the neck, please. Coming through center, now we're going to rotate, hand on opposite knee, this hand behind me to support the rotation. So hips are staying pretty much planted here. We're starting, we have a slight rotation of the lower spine and then a big rotation towards the center. And right now we're going to keep the head neutral. At the end of a series, I would say look behind you, but we're not warm enough yet. Coming through center, let everything return to neutral. Take a breath. Taking an inhale, and on the exhale, turning to the opposite side. And then coming back to center. So there you have it. Extension, flexion, lateral flexion to each side, rotation to each side. That's the range of motion of the spine. If you do that periodically throughout your week, and it can take you less than a minute. So you remember, if you feel like you don't have a minute to give to yourself, you need to visit that at some other point, because a minute is not too much to ask. But I also understand that that's life sometimes. So now I'm going to give you a couple of options for that flexion and extension of the spine. Again, I'm going to take a deeper back bend just to show you, but the reality is I don't want you to do this position unless you know this is camel position, hands go to the back. And you'll see this is a very big extension of the spine. And then I'm going to bring my hips down and round the spine, that's flexion. Coming back onto the knees, camel pose, extending the spine, coming through center, hips come down, and rounding the spine, flexing. So one action counters the other. Now I'm going to do cat-cow, which means coming into a hands and knees position, tabletop. The reality is you can do cat-cow seated too, but this is a great way to see the flexion and the extension. So on an inhale, we're going to allow the crown and root to rise. Stomach kind of slings down, but you're still kind of in control of it, so you've got some semblance of order there in the lower abdominals. Inhaling. That is extension. Exhaling. Pressing into the mat with the palms. Crown drops, tail drops, stomach pulls in. That's flexion. That's cat position. Into cow. Crown and tail lift, stomach slings. Inhale. And on the exhale, crown and tail drop, stomach pulls in. I'm really pressing in, using my arms and upper back. One more time. Inhale, crown and tail lift, stomach slings. And exhale, crown and tail drop, stomach pulls in. Nice. Now, if your wrists don't work like that and you don't like that pressure on your wrist, I get it. So watch how I can do a seated cat-cow. This time I'm going to bring in a support for my hips, a bigger support, so you can see how this will work. On my knees, this is a hugely comfortable position for me. I love sitting like this. I don't like sitting in a chair where my hips are too high. It doesn't work for my body. So I would ask you to explore that for yourself. But seated cat-cow. Okay, I'm just going to put my legs almost to the edge of the mat, bent knees, very solid. So seated cat-cow is inhaling, crown and tail. See, my back is extending. You won't get the extension quite as much as the tabletop position. And then pulling it in and rounding and flexing the spine. Got that? Inhale, the cow position. Exhale, the cat position. So modifications can be done in any way that you need them. And especially, I would say 50 forward, it's really important that you know what your body will do and what it won't do. I'm not going to call you into a deep back bend because that would be damaging to somebody's tissue, the average person. And if you know you can do that, then that's lovely, and you can go into a full wheel, which is a full back bend. But these ranges of motion are going to introduce your body slowly and methodically to where they really need to be, what they are. You're allowing your spine to revisit its full range of motion. And remember what I said is that as we age, range of motion will get narrower and narrower. We really have to demand of our bodies, sorry, that's not the right word, coax our bodies into these full ranges of motion, because as we age, we're naturally going to get stiffer and we're going to just be more limited. So the greater the range of motion we can keep, the better and more comfortable our muscles will be. Because remember, the muscles are the ones, the skeletal muscles are the ones that are moving all these joints. So that's the piece I want you to keep in mind. I hope this has been helpful, and I will see you next time on the mat or in the chair. You guys have a good day. Take care.